To welcome everyone to the October Intuity Tech Talk. Today we're looking at how to customize dashboards in Intuity Network Analytics. I'm John Diamond, and I'm a Senior Systems and Solutions Engineer at Intuity. And with me today is my colleague Larry Bailon, who's a Systems Engineer. We'll be your hosts for the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. Tech Talks, as most of you know, are designed for our customers and technical members of our authorized partner community. These sessions are recorded and are available on demand from the Intuity YouTube Center. They're a great resource for learning more about the product or reviewing features you may be interested in implementing. Just a few housekeeping items before we get into today's content. The call is on mute mode to eliminate any outside noise, but do feel free to ask questions at any time via the chat panel. We'll make sure that we have time at the end to take questions that have been posted. So with that, let's get started. Today, we'll be using Intuity Network Analytics, commonly called ENA or 17.0. ENA is the upgrade to Intuity 16.5. By the way, if you have any questions about this release, please don't hesitate to contact your Intuity system engineer. We're more than happy to discuss any facet of the new product with you. Today's Tech Talk is about customizing dashboards. I will show you a number of examples of how to get more value from ENA's ability to customize dashboards to reflect how you manage your network. Now, before I hand over control to Larry to actually show you how to go about a bit of customization, I want to take a few minutes to go over some of the fundamentals as to how the whole dashboard arrangement operates within ENA, just so you have a bit of a context for this discussion. The user interface in ENA can either display dashboards, administrative pages, or reports, and you switch between those modes using the main menu button, which is that triple line icon in the very top left-hand corner of the screen, just to the left of the Intuity logo. There are many dashboards, many of them, provided with the package, and different selections of dashboards are provided for views, devices, ports, services, and a whole bunch of other concepts that we model within the product. So when you select a view using the Explorer, which is that blue button just below the main menu with Explorer in the name, it will give you a list of the available view-based dashboards. If you then, using the Explorer, select a device, then it will show you a list of the device-based dashboards, which are going to be different to the view-based dashboards. Different types of devices can also have different dashboard layouts. Therefore, a dashboard summarizing information about a router could be very different to the summary dashboard for, let's say, a wireless access point. So we have different. You can configure the dashboards to be different for different types of devices. I like to think of there being three main categories of dashboard. The first category, which is very similar to the type of dashboard that you have available in 16.5 and earlier versions of Intuity, we would refer to as a static dashboard. In other words, the individual cells or dashlets within the dashboard are pre-configured as to what they're going to tell you about. Those static dashboards would be seen in the available menu of dashboards if you select the My Network view, which is normally the default that's listed, and that's on the screen at the moment in the top left-hand corner. However, there's another type of dashboard which is very important. Most of the dashboards that we provide out of the box are of this type, and that's the dynamic dashboard. Whatever item it is that's selected in the Explorer, whether it's a view, a device, a port, a service, or whatever, that is considered the context for the dashboard. And then each of the dashlets within the dashboard will tell you different information about that particular item. And so you select a different item, and the dashboard will update to tell you about that newly selected item. Then there's a permutation on it, and I would call that a drill down dashboard. And that is where you have a dashlet within the dashboard, and each of those cells we refer to as a dashlet. That, depending on what you select within it, like here, you've got the bottom left-hand dashlet, one of those items has been selected, it's in blue, then other dashlets can be updated to reflect information about that item that you've just selected. Larry's going to show you a bit more about that in a moment. So each dashboard comprises one or more dashlets. The controls available at the dashboard and dashlet level are available from those triple dot menus. So where on the screen you've got virtualization, which is the name of this particular dashboard, there's a triple dot icon to the left of it, and that is the dashboard menu that gives you further control over it. Each of the individual dashlets has a title, and there's a triple dot menu to the left of that. And that also has items that controls that are specific to that dashlet. By the way, in our documentation, those triple dot menus are referred to as overflow menus. So just another bit of terminology. The range of dashboards that's available to each user is controlled at the user group level. So one group of users might have a different set of dashboards made available to them compared to a different group of users. So you can tailor your environment to present exactly the range of dashboards and their content to the groups of users who are going to use them. Administrators and users that have got the dashboard management permission enabled can do a number of different things. They can change which user groups have access to each dashboard. They can create new dashboards. They can duplicate an existing dashboard and then edit the copy. They can edit custom dashboards that have already been created. They can change the order in which the dashboards are listed, and they can define which dashboards are considered to be favorites for each user group. And those favorites are the dashboards that are listed along the menu bar at the top, where you've got that blue Explorer button. If you look to the right of that, there's a number of different dashboards listed. Those are considered the favorite dashboards in this case because a view has been selected in the Explorer, the My Network view. Those are the favorite view dashboards. And then we put all of the dashboards available under the All Dashboards menu option there. And one final note, and that is that when you create custom dashboards, if two or more dashboards have the same name, then if they are valid for the current context, then only the one with the highest priority, as far as the menu bar is concerned, that would be the one furthest to the left, is the one that's going to be listed. If you had two different dashboards called summary, and they were both applicable to a view, then only the one with the higher priority would be shown. And that's a way of overriding one of our standard dashboards. It's a very useful technique because the ones that we ship with the product are considered read-only. You can't edit them, but you can take a copy of them and edit the copy. And so that's a way of making a change effectively to a dashboard that we provide. And so that said, I'm going to hand over to Larry, and he'll take you through how to build and customize some of these dashboards.
Thank you, JD. Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Balon. As I've already been introduced, I'm a field-based systems engineer out of the U.S., and we'll go right into the demonstration. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating how to create two different types of dashboards, and we'll start here. So I've basically logged into my Intuity server. This is a default installation, so when I log in, I'm taken to the summary page for the My Network view. What I'm going to do is I'm going to browse over to a device. And you'll see here that this is basically the summary for this device. It's a router device. It's a Cisco device. So the first example I'm going to be showing is basically how to take an out-of-the-box system dashboard and change it and modify it for your own use. And I'm going to pick on this ports dashboard. So this is one of our out-of-the-box dashboards. It is a favorite. And when I click on this, what you'll see is there are 4 dashlets horizontally across the top that give us different information. Nice graphical indication of which ports are up, which ones are down, breakdown by speed, unused ports, physical versus virtual. Then below that is a table. That table is giving me basically what I consider inventory or attribute information, the port's name, what its inbound and outbound speeds are, and some other attribute settings for the ports. That's all well and good, but I want to change this so that I can get some additional, get rid of some of this information and get additional information on utilization. So I'm going to go down to the Create Dashboard Configuration hyperlink. That is at the bottom of this pull-down menu. This will give me a list of all the dashboards. The default is to show dashboards that are associated with views. This is also a pull-down. This happens to be a device-level dashboard. You can filter by ports, and then there's just another category, which is Other, which bundles all the dashboards that aren't part of these first 3 categories. So let me go to the Devices dashboard. Delete this is from our previous one. But you'll see if I scroll down to the device-level dashboard, there's a ports dashboard. This is the one that's out of the box. There is a lock icon, which indicates that this is a system-level dashboard, which means you can't modify it. So if I click the hyperlink, it's basically going to provide me with a pop-up window that says, I can't edit this. Would you like to create a duplicate? Which I'll do right now. That duplicate dashboard will be put to the top of the list, and it will be assigned a default name based on the original name of the dashboard. So now I can come in here and I can edit this dashboard. When I do that, it'll bring up a template. This is what the existing dashboard looks like. The first thing I'm going to do is on the main dashboard here is I'm going to change the name of this. So I'll just go to the settings, and I'm just going to rename this dashboard to, I'll just call this ports with utilization data. I'll leave the description the same. It is going to provide me with some information on the ports. I also have the opportunity here to change the icon. There's a whole range of icons. I'm going to keep it using the wired network port icon. It's a dynamic dashboard. It's applicable for the devices, so I'm done. Anytime I make changes to the dashboard while I'm in the editor, if the changes are unsaved, this Save Icon button is blue. If I save it, it turns gray. That means that whatever I see here does not contain any unsaved changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the port summary dashboard, and I'm going to add a new dashlet. By default, this pull-down menu, this scrollable menu only shows a subset of all the available dashlets that are available to you. By clicking the All and All icons, you'll be provided with a larger list of which to select from. So what I'm looking for basically is a table dashlet. I will click that. I click the Next button. Anytime you create a dashlet, it will consume all of the real estate that's available within the editor. If I just click Done here, you'll see that this dashlet consumes all of that available real estate. If I create a brand new dashboard from scratch and add a dashlet, it will consume all of that real estate. You can use your mouse to control how large that dashlet panel is. both horizontally and vertically. But I'm going to bring this back to, I want this particular one to consume all the real estate. I'll just delete it and recreate it. So I do have a table. I don't have any information populated in this dashlet. So I'll go back to my settings. And it's going to include the objects of type port. Right now, the name of the table is table, so I'm going to change that. Just change the name and just call this port. And I'm going to expose the title bar of that dashlet. The next thing I need to do is I need to add information into the table. There are two ways you can do that. There's a plus sign here that allows me to add the columns to the table. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the display name because I want to know what I'm looking at the port level. I click Done. That shows here. The next thing I'm going to add is I want to add the administrative and operational status. So from this pull down, I select administrative status. That's shown next in the list. And the display from left to right will start from top to bottom here. And as I add more attributes, I'll show you how to, you can simply rearrange the column order in the display by moving them with your mouse. The second way that you can add attributes, you can see here it says you can drag attributes over the list. The easiest way to do that is to create a duplicate tab in my browser. And then I'm going to basically drill down to the port level. So I can pick any port. Doesn't matter whether the port's operationally up or down, as long as it's got a port and it has attributes. And then I'm going to pick the attribute pull down from here, which will list all the attributes of that port. I'll sort in alphabetical order, and then I'm going to drag this over to the right-hand side of my screen to split it. So now I basically have two browser windows. And I'll also bring this over here. So now I can look in alphabetical order and just drag these attributes in here. So I'll look for the operational status, and I simply drag it in there. And then I want my inbound and outbound utilization. So I'll look at my inbound utilization. Percentage. And I also want my outbound utilization percentage. And then I'll come back to the column. And what I want to add is I want to add the traffic rate. So I'll click the plus sign here. I'll go to my pull down menu and I go to my inbound settings, and you'll see that there is no listing here in the pull down menu for the traffic. So this pull down menu only lists a subset of the attributes you can choose from. You have to go all the way down to the bottom, and there's a show more hyperlink here. This will load up all the attributes that I can add, and so I'll come in here and I'll look at my inbound traffic volume. I click Done. And again, I'll add my outbound as well. This isn't in alphabetical order, but it does contain anything you can choose from that's associated with the port, whether it's an association or it's an actual attribute. So I'll come down here. I want my outbound traffic, and actually the traffic volume is not what I want. So if I want to erase an attribute, I simply select it, and there's a delete button here. And I will add inbound traffic. And then I want my inbound and traffic to follow inbound utilization. So to select that, I just sort it that way. Now I'm done. And then I can preview my dashboard before I actually save it and publish it. But I will save it first, and we'll preview it. And you can see here that it hasn't been populated. The reason for this is that anytime you do the preview, it focuses at the view level. So all I have to do is come in here and select a device, and the dashboard should be previewed and populated. So this is pretty much what I want to see. So I'll exit the preview. This is what I want, and I'll exit this, and I'll come back to my dashboards, and I'll just select a device from the pull-down list here. And this is my standard ports dashboard, and then my ports with utilization dashboard is in this pull-down menu. And actually it's not. And the reason it's not is because I made one of the mistakes that a lot of our users do, which is basically anytime you create a dashboard, and let me go to the one we just created here. Anytime you create a dashboard, by default, nobody has access to it. So if I come to the main dashboard settings here, there's a setting for access control here. It doesn't matter what user you are. I'm the administrator of the system, and you can see the default, and this is by design, no access. We've really increased the granularity of role-based access for this release. So I have three options. No access means the dashboard will not be displayed in the UI. However, that is useful if you're in the process of creating a dashboard and you haven't finished testing it. You can save it, and you can hide it from view. So the other selection is access, which means it shows up on the right pull-down menu, and then access and favorite means that the dashboard is accessible and it shows up along the horizontal part of the web page as a favorite. I'm just going to select access for the administrators. I click done, done, save my changes, and then exit. And again, I'll come down to I'll come down to the device, and now you'll see that ports with utilization dashboard is displayed here. The nice thing about this is that I can sort on any one of these columns. So if I wanted to look at which port had the highest utilization on this device by percentage, I can reverse sort that. I can do the same thing for any of these other columns, so traffic and so forth. And then these are hyperlinks. This will bring me to the port summary page. So this is a hyperlink here. The next dashboard that I'm going to demonstrate is one that I've already created. So I will go to the summary dashboard for my network. And over here, you'll see that I have a dashboard that's labeled Global IPSLA Test Dashboard. And this is an example of an interactive dashboard. So I'll bring this up. This is useful. So this particular network, I have a number of IPSLA tests that have been configured, and they're all going to show up in a table here. So the device that the IPSLA tests are configured to run on is displayed in this left column, and then the display name of the IPSLA test is in the second column, and the third column indicates the status of that test. The check mark means that the test is operating normally. If I select an alternate view, such as my, let me go back here, go by geography, by office, and select Burbank, Now it'll be filtered on only the devices that are in that Burbank view. So this is a view level dashboard. You notice the right 4 dashlets are not populated. It basically says invalid context. Now I've placed some instructions here using a text-based dashlet. So it basically says click on a row of the IPSLA test below to get my detailed results. So I can select any one of these rows in the table. I don't want to select the device name or the display name because these are hyperlinked to the summary dashboards for the device and the summary dashboards for the IPSLA test. As soon as I click here, it'll auto-populate the graphs and the incident summary on the right 4 dashlets. Again, I can select any one of these to get the charts for that particular IPSLA test. Now, to create this, basically what I did was I started with a blank dashboard, and I'll come into the dashboard configuration editor, and we'll select this. So I started off with a blank canvas. The first dashlet I added was this little test selector dashboard. And again, I have the ability to hide that title bar if I wanted to. If I do this, then that test selector will not be displayed. Then I just added this text here. So this little icon indicates that's the text that will be displayed. The next thing I did was I created a table, and that's what this dashlet is. So this dashlet is basically IPSLA status, so it'll give me the status of all my IPSLA tests. I selected the object that I selected was the IPSLA base polar. So this I could have set up differently depending on how my network was architected. So there are a few customers that I have that only run IPSLA jitter tests. So that would allow you access to some additional metrics to be displayed, such as the jitter from source to destination and so forth. You can select what the objects from this table are by this pull-down menu. And again, you're only going to get a small subset. If I show more, this is going to provide me with a very large list of attributes that I can select from. And you can see here, if I wanted only to show the test results or get attributes from the IPSLA jitter polar, I could select that. I selected the generic base polar so that no matter what kind of IPSLA test is running, it'll be shown in that list. And then what I did here for the columns was I added this is what's called an associated attribute. It's the device's display name, the display name of the IPSLA test, and then the object status. The 4 dashlets to the right, how they're populated is completely dependent on the selection made here. And the way that you do that is through the settings menu. I basically set my dashlet source to dashlet. The default is dashboard, or you can select a fixed object. When I select dashlet, this allows me to select any one of the dashlets that I've already configured. In this case, I'm basing it on information from the IPSLA table dashlet. And then I've selected my completion time. I can add additional series if I wanted to by selecting different series names. But in this case, I've selected one. So I'm showing the completion time, the percentage of success, and the average time. And then under the chart settings, I'm looking at the average, and I've set the default value here. And basically, I have the ability to preview this. Again, if I select the hyperlink itself, it will get me in directly into the specific dashboard, either the device level summary dashboard, or if I select this, for example, this will take me directly to the IPSLA summary dashboard for this particular IPSLA test. It's showing some of the similar information from the dashlet or the dashboard that I've configured. But if I select my network view here and come here, that will give me a list of all my IPSLA tests that are running in the system. And again, by selecting this white space here, it'll auto-populate the graphs and the incident chart as well. And with that, I think we're ready to wrap things up.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry. Pat, have we had any questions in?
Yes, we have a couple. The first one is, what's your best practice recommendation for moving old dashboards to the new ENA dashboards?
Right, okay. Let me just say to begin with that when you do an upgrade from an older version of Intuity, let's say, for example, 16.5, then we don't automatically preserve your custom dashboard configurations because they wouldn't actually be of any value in ENA. The old dashboards, the custom dashboards in 16.5, each cell within the dashboard was defined by a URL. And the URLs pointed to various different parts normally of the Intuity user interface. Those URLs are no longer valid because the interface has changed. So if we had created new dashboards with dashlets referring to those same URLs, it just wouldn't have worked. So what we're going to recommend is before you do the upgrade, catalog all of your existing custom dashboards that you want to preserve in ENA. By the way, it's also probably a good opportunity to cull out old dashboards that you really don't need any longer. So find out the ones that are really needed for upgrade. Take a screenshot of each one. And then once you've done the upgrade, those can be recreated typically as static dashboards because that's effectively what they were in 16.5. So that's the best practice. Make sure that you've got a list of all of the dashboards that you want to preserve into ENA, and those are going to be the ones that you'll need to recreate using this new mechanism. Okay, Pat?
Yep, thank you, JD. And then another question is, when I'm starting to create dashboard, are there any gotchas that we need to watch out for?
Oh,
there certainly are. And in fact, Larry, do you want to just review?
I actually showed
the
two biggest gotchas are. Let's go to the is forgetting to enable access. And again, it's shown here in this column, but we go to the devices dashboard that I created. It's enabled, and now the group access says administrator. You'll see that
right.
Some people are working on some additional dashboards here. So there's one here for troubleshooting, and they're not finished with it. So they've actually, this dashboard will never show up in the UI. That's one of the gotchas. The other gotcha that we have here, I showed with this table setting. When I went to look for the traffic metrics, only a subset of the available attributes are shown in this pull-down list. You got to go all the way to the bottom, and there's a Show More button here that will bring up the entire list of what is selectable to be able to put into that table.
Larry, do you want to just display your that second dashboard that you showed us?
Yep.
I just want to point out something in there.
Yep. Let me exit out of this.
Yep. And then point it at a device. Yep. So rather than the editor, if you could actually show us what it looks like. There we go. In that bottom left dashlet, the IPSLA status, both the device name and the IPSLA operation name are hyperlinks. They're in blue, and if you click them, as Larry mentioned, it's going to take you to the summary dashboard, either for the device or the IPSLA operation. That's what those blue hyperlinks do. If you intended to actually select that line in the table so that it would then drive the context for the other dashlets in that dashboard, clicking on the blue hyperlink is not what you wanted to do. You wanted to click in the white space within that table. If you really didn't want to have those hyperlinks because you found that either you or your colleagues were clicking them accidentally when they really intended to select items in the table and they really didn't need to drill down from that dashlet, then if in building the table you had used the name attribute for the device rather than the display name, that would have come up as in black text and it would not be a hyperlink. So there is a very subtle difference there between the display name and the name. All of the attributes are going, or all of those objects, for whatever item it is that exists within the display name, there will be an equivalent alternative attribute that will not cause a hyperlink to be placed in the table. That is just a way to make people's life a bit easier. Okay, Pat.
In the dashboard configuration page, what is a Stormworks object?
Oh, no, that's a good one. In fact, Larry, do you want to bring up that one? Go to the device.
Yep.
Yeah. When you look down that second column, the applicable to, it will identify whether these dashlets apply to specific types of device, like a managed host, a VM platform, an SDN controller, or just a generic device where it says device. But there is one step even more generic than that, and that is a Stormworks object. And that simply is that if it doesn't fit any of those other specialist categories, then it will still display that dashboard because it applies to any component in the system. Okay, Pat, do we have anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you both.
Oh, you're welcome. Let's take a look at some helpful resources. What we've got there is a reference to the ENA Help Center, and that is online. You can access it either through the main menu of the product user interface. There's a link there to help, and that is a link within the browser to the Intuity Help Center. That's an important point. It's a link within the browser, not the server. In other words, your ENA servers do not require access to the internet in order for the users to get access to the online help. All that you have to have is that the users' browsers have to have internet access. If they can access the internet, then they can get at our help resources. Within the ENA Help Center, by the way, that's also accessible if you go to the corporate website, the Intuity corporate website, which is at intuity.com. If you go to the support menu, then one of the options there is ENA Help Center. Gets you to the same page. It's a long page with a lot of information on it. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of that page, you'll get a list of all of the video tutorials. Those are, that's a growing list. We are continually, week by week, adding more tutorial videos. They're short videos on very specific topics, and we hope that you'll be able to very quickly come up to speed on various topics by looking at those videos. Okay, well, the other thing there, it's a quick note about YouTube. If you go to the Intuity YouTube Center, we've got even more videos, and some of those were referred to as ENA Friday videos. That was a series of webinars, 3 webinars that we gave a few months ago to introduce the product, and I would recommend, if you've not already done so, watching those, because it does give you a good head start into getting into the whole concept of ENA. Now, we have got a new patch on the cusp of release. It's due to be released at some point this week, And among a bunch of bug fixes, we've also got 3 new features in this patch. One of them is this thing we call the dark theme. You'll notice on that graphic that doesn't look like the color scheme in the standard user interface that we've been showing you. That's because what we've been showing you is what's referred to as the light theme. On a per user basis within the user's own preferences, which you can change via the main menu, you can now select the dark theme. So you have a choice on a per user basis as to whether you want the light theme or the dark theme. Just changes the color palette. This is particularly useful if you've got a darkened NOC room. If your network operators work in a darkened room with big screens, then it can be very useful to put this dark theme dashboard up on the screen because it works very well in a darkened room. We've also extended the dashboards to add some very specific wireless dashboards in. I mentioned that different types of devices can have different dashboards, and we now have added some specialist dashboards in for the wireless controllers and wireless access points. So check those out. And finally, for users, BMC users who have integrated Enturity with the TrueSight operations management system, if you've also performed the TrueSight presentation server integration, where you've got network menus now existing among all of your other menus within the TrueSight presentation server, previously, the first time a user accessed the network menu, the user would have been prompted to log into Enturity, even though they've already logged into TrueSight. Now, because we've got the option to integrate with Remedy single sign-on, it means that if you've already logged into TrueSight, when you access the network menu, you will automatically just be presented with the network information because it will have logged you into Enturity behind the scenes automatically. Okay, let's take a look at what's coming up in the near future. Firstly, we've got a couple of important BMC trade shows coming up. These are the BMC Exchange events. One of them is coming up very shortly, October the 18th in New York City. I will be there personally representing Enturity. If anybody wants to pop along and have a chat, I would be very pleased to see you. And then at the end of October, we've got the BMC Exchange event in London. And my colleagues, Paresh Mistry and John Butler, will be there representing Enturity. We've also got another event. We can call it the Halloween event coming up on October the 31st. It's going to be our next Tech Talk. And the subject we've chosen is services. Managing by services, how and why. Services are a critically important aspect of what Enturity brings to the table that you can get some really important value from. So please make a note that that's going to be happening. You should expect to see an email. If, by the way, you didn't get a personal email to invite you to this Tech Talk, and you would like to be added to our list, please reach out to tech.talks@enturity.com. Just request that you get added to the email list. Additionally, if you've got questions or you've got suggestions as topics that you'd like us to focus on for a future Tech Talk, again, drop us an email on that address. And finally, I'd just like to thank you all for attending today. And don't forget, we'll be back on October the 31st. Look forward to seeing you all.